when you're working on like an animated project as a vocal performer, all you have is your voice.
We must become more than we were programmed to be.
This is very much Lupita's creation. She took the lead in crafting her own voice and the actual change in tone.
Remember, there is nothing he can do that you can't.
I didn't really know how much we were going to do that until we started crafting this whole thing together. And she, I think, really took the lead in coming up with what we would call a programmed optimism.
Hello, I am Rosm7134.
And she pushes her voice into this realm, which is not easy for her to do. Well, I wouldn't say I don't want to say it's demanding. It might be easy for her to do, but it takes a toll, and so it's draining. So she crafted the change in the voice. And as I was saying, we go through so many things in a day, and we don't necessarily do things in order. There are reasons for that. So we'd always have to keep in mind, oh, this is phase 1 voice, phase 2, phase 3. So she knew where to go.
There was this potential for Roz's evolution from a programmed robot in her factory settings to a more adapted, individualized being. There was a lot of opportunity to tell that story vocally.
Negative. I do not have the programming to be a mother.
Chris has mentioned to me that he liked the warmth of my voice and how much it could portray in terms of that the mothering and nurturing tone. So we knew where Roz needed to end up, and then it was a question of reverse engineering to where does Roz begin? And I was inspired by automated voices like Siri and Alexa. So that was a starting point. And then with the massaging of the script as the script developed, it was a question of figuring out what the dial was and when and how to portray Roz's adaptation to the environment around her and her taking on the traits of the animal's expressions that she is surrounded by.
Do you need assistance? Aggression detected. I see your problem.
Working with a robot was really exciting to me. I don't know why it is, but I think telling stories with robots sometimes is the best way to tell a human story. And certainly the way the animals are infused into this is completely different. The animals in this movie are animals. And that was a really new and welcome challenge for our animators, both design-wise and movement-wise. Same with Roz. Like the one big change we made from the Roz as described in Peter Brown's wonderful book is that he has the simplest line that indicates a mouth. And I was insistent that Roz not have a mouth. I wanted no articulation on her face, save for her eyes. It's a limitation that I knew would push our animators in other ways. She's a creature of pantomime. I wanted her eyes to look expensive. There's a lot of articulation inside of her eyes. I told the designers early on, like, if you bought a Rosm and had to replace the eye, that it would be about $200,000 to put a new eye in. Like, you'd really like, oh no, you know. So I wanted them to feel big and heavy and thick and full of glass. And the stuff that's going on inside them is really complex. And there may be even things that you don't notice, but things are changing inside them. I didn't even realize until they would discuss it with me that like there's a display in the back of her eye that changes speed and changes pattern depending on her level of agitation. They designed these sort of running lights, these tracing lights all over her body that we thought were really pretty. They pulse to her voice. It turned out to be an amazing storytelling element because not only do they change color as she loses power and changes mood, but they do more than I expected them to do as far as indicating where she is.
We had 2.5 years to work on this, so you know the time in the booth was a time for me to voice things that were feeling sticky and my reasons why. And one thing I loved about working with Chris is that he would take my notes, metabolize them, and then the next time we would come to the booth and he would have changed the script, not just in the point that I had brought, in the moment that I had brought, but he kind of allowed for that note to influence the rest of the script in such a way that it just became smoother and smoother and smoother until it was seamless. And so now it's like, oh, where the hell was that scene supposed to go anyway, you know?
The scale of work that that Lupita accomplished, it cannot be overstated. It was huge what she did for us.
You are ordered to return home.
I am already home, and I am a wild robot.